everybody. You're listening to Thanks We Hate It, and I am Hannah Lehman.
And I am Mickey Atkins. Thanks for coming, everybody.
We're here, and I really hope that nobody can hear the bass drop on my microphone because my neighbor... You'd think I would be able to hear anybody at the end unit of a townhouse, but I do share, of course, one wall on my studio, and he must be playing it in the other room, like right
Rude.
there. But so I am very sorry if anybody can hear that, but or my dog as she starts barking right now. Good Lord.
It's all going so well.
Winnie's really going through it today. She's having a hard time. I promise I will pay attention to you, and I'll give you lots of attention once I'm done. I swear to God. How are you? How are you doing?
You know, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hot as shit here. So, pray for me. I'm struggling with the heat. But generally speaking.
Do your cats like it, though?
They're indoor cats, so I don't know that they really notice. The dogs really like it, which is hilarious because despite my best efforts to like keep them cool and make sure that they're being safe. Oh, also, oh my God, I meant to say this on the last episode. I'll say it here. This will be 2 weeks late, but thank you so much for all of the advice that people put in the comments on the video about Olivia. There was a lot of people who also have border collies, and we have added a bunch of stuff to our Amazon cart. So
really?
I'll report back and let you guys know how it goes. Someone suggested.
I haven't looked at the comments yet.
Someone suggested something called a herding ball, which is basically like a ball, but it's really, really big. And it's kind of like meant to be like pushed around with her nose and stuff, I think. But they said it's really helped with their border collie. And then there was something else that like, you know, the cat toys that are like a stick with a string, basically? It's kind of like that, but for dogs, and there's like a toy at the end of it, like a little ball or something. And so someone suggested that. So we're going to try that and see if that works. Because if nothing else, those are things we can do inside, like on the carpet, which is both safer for her little paws and also not a bajillion degrees. So
what was the first thing called?
A herding ball.
Herding ball? I wonder if Winnie would like that too.
I don't know. It's big.
Does it have treats in it? Do you put treats in it and they roll it around?
I'm sure there probably are versions of that. Here, let me look. Hold on.
Hence, herding ball.
Yeah. So this one, there's a 6-inch one and a 10-inch one, but it literally is just... It's literally just a blue ball.
Do they just kick it around? Like...
Yeah, so the thing is that they can't put their mouth on it.
Oh, so it's like
herding
an animal?
Yeah. So I think because they can't like carry it around like she can with her regular ball. And so anytime she tries to bite on it and stuff, it'll like slip out of her hand and run away from her. And so the thing is like meant to be sort of simulating what it's like to herd an animal, like, I guess. Yeah.
Feels like she's moving. That's so clever.
Yeah.
Did you look into bully sticks at all?
I did. The problem that I have with the bully sticks is that I think Savannah will be done with hers in like 2 seconds.
That's fair.
And then Livy just like doesn't care about food. So I don't even know, even if she did enjoy it, I'd have to separate them and then wait like an hour and a half for Olivia to finish hers. So we're gonna try the herding stuff and see how that goes. Because I'm hopeful that will give her, it will like scratch the same itch, you know? Because like Vanny is a chewer. Vanny loves to chew things. Maybe she'll get
hyper focused on it. Yeah.
Yes, but like in a healthy way, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like her hyperfixation right now is not healthy. So
that is fair. My parents because the golden retriever, my parents' dog does love bully sticks, and they give them to it, but they have to go to special stores and get like the $20 ones that are like a foot long and incredibly thick. And don't leave. No, stay here and cuddle with me. And Winnie jumped up here and I felt honored. And they're like literally $20 a piece to get those. Winnie can have the little ones, but Winnie gets bored of them really quick too. Yeah. So
that's the other thing that's hard about having 2 dogs is that anything that you buy, you have to multiply by 2. And so like, sure, I don't give a shit about spending $20-$40 on a bully stick, right? But then like times 2, I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So totally fair. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you got a couple suggestions.
Me too.
I hope that
we'll see how that goes.
comes out of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are you besides your neighbor blaring music?
Look at Winnie closing her eyes because I'm scritching the back of her neck all good.
Oh.
She's like, oh.
She said, I love that.
I'm doing really good. I'm just loving my new townhouse because I had the maintenance guy come in and fix a bunch of other little things that kind of needed, finagling. And then my dad came over last night, and I always have him. He always helps me every time I move. He's a saint. He helps me install my bidet.
Oh, nice.
Because I cannot do that shit by myself, and I don't have a husband. So he helps me install my bidet. And if you have Crohn's disease, that's a requirement for survival.
Yeah.
And then he also changed out the my shower head. You know how like shower heads and rentals always come with like the one you can't detach, and they always put a slow flow on it because they want to
Yes.
So he came out. He took the slow flow thingy out of it so that I get a better stream.
Nice.
And then I bought my own like shower. I bought a rain shower this time. Like I invested in like a nicer one.
Fancy.
And he just installed that last night. And then he just like fixed a couple other things around, put my vacuum mount up. And it's like,
nice.
I know that seems so trivial, but like afterwards I was just like, I felt so much more put together after all of these things got fixed in my place that I'd just kind of been working around them, And it's also just like, if you have hair like mine, it is impossible to wash your hair properly without a detachable, it was like 7 feet up and it was like trickling out. And it was just
That's so annoying.
So I'm just like starting to make myself at home, Winnie's getting used to it and we're doing good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Am I going first today? I think I'm going first today.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I have a kind of a different fun topic for us to talk about today.
Okay.
Let me preface this by saying, like, I love asking people this question. I feel like I'll always ask this question on a first date.
Yeah.
I'll ask, like, friends this question because it's such a good conversation starter. It's an open-ended question. It tells you a lot about that person and their personality.
Yes.
And everybody has their own take on it or their own experiences, but also it's not controversial. Like, it's not going to get people mad at each other. It's, like, such an interesting topic that you can argue about. And be like and disagree about it, but it's like still like it's still like lighthearted. So the question I like to ask people as this open-ended question is simply, do you believe in ghosts? And
are you actually asking me?
I will, but but people like to be asked that question too, because I feel like everybody has a story or everybody has like a thing that makes them kind of like or kind of not. So before I ask you, yes, I will ask you that, but I also just want to start by this is highly motivated by my main channel videos because I do a lot. If you follow me over there, I do a lot of TikTok paranormal videos. People tag me in supposed ghost evidence over on TikTok, and then I make compilation videos of me reacting to it. And often I'm debunking it because there's usually a reason why, especially on somewhere like TikTok where it's obviously set up or edited or there's like, but it's really fun because there's often like these weird glitch in the matrix things that people film, but it turns out to be a weather phenomenon. Like sometimes there's really logical explanations. One time there was this mosquito that somebody found with a with a number on it. Like it looked like it had a number printed on it. Dead serious. There's actual pictures of this, and people were like, oh my god, it's one of Bill Gates' mosquitoes. Oh my god, it's Black Mirror. They're monitoring us. They're like stinging us, or they're vaccinating us through the mosquitoes, and they're all little robot mosquitoes. And it was literally not a mosquito at all. It was a type of aphid, I believe. It was some type of bug. I made this video a while ago that had a marking on its back, and the black marking does kind of look like a number, but they do all look different. So things like that. So I love deep diving like those weird, creepy videos people find, but then they tag me and I'm able to dig a little bit because that's what I do for a living. So I have the time and I like to find logical explanations. So today though, I've thought so much about this and I really wanted to talk to Mickey about it because Mickey has such a different take on it than I do. Mickey, from my understanding, is very much a believer in paranormal, and I am very much not a non-believer, but I'm so skeptical and I just have questions. Like I have so many questions about like how do people explain this stuff.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk about that with you today. And I think it would be a great conversation for people to have down below too if they want to talk about it in the comments. So so Mickey, starting off, like, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, of course I do. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that I believe in ghosts, because we've talked before on this podcast also about my own paranormal experiences, and also like my general belief in like new age kind of stuff. Like I'm very into astrology. I practice witchcraft on my own personal time. And so I think to some degree, a lot of that sort of lends itself to like at least an openness to like the existence of spirits and ghosts and like the paranormal, you know?
Right. Okay. That's fair. So
you're very much a skeptic though, right?
I am very skeptical because I do find it interesting that people that believe in ghosts are usually the ones that see them.
Yeah.
Like you're more likely to see them if you believe in them.
Yes.
But I also am open to the fact that there is definitely space and things on this earth that we don't know. And I also understand that, aliens very much exist in somewhere in the universe.
Yes.
There are hundreds of other planets, and I'm sure there's life form on them. However, my take on aliens is that I don't believe they are the little green thing with big eyes that, and I don't think they've ever actually abducted anybody and probed them. I don't personally believe that that's ever happened. I think there's a logical explanation for all that stuff. What I think is that we would have no concept of what a real alien would look like. They could look like us. They could have no ears. They could have no eyes. They could have no features. They could have features that look nothing like our features, but they still serve some other purpose. But like, I just don't think that they look anything like we could possibly fathom.
That's valid.
And I also doubt that we've had any contact because they could be millions of light years away.
Yeah.
Just like we are aliens to another planet.
Yes.
Right? Like we would be aliens to them. So I take that, and also like with the ocean, we've only explored a very small amount of the ocean. So like I have no doubt there's creatures down there that we haven't discovered.
Oh, yeah.
That the Loch Ness Monster, for lack of a better word, is something that's probably somewhere. But I don't think that there's just... I just doubt that there's like half human, half fish mermaids floating around, and that it's not somebody who bought a costume off Amazon and is trying to make a TikTok video.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I apply to ghosts.
I have a question. Have you heard of the Fermi paradox, and or like, do you have thoughts about this?
I have not heard of that. Can you tell me what that is? The what paradox?
The Fermi paradox. Okay. It's a thing. I am certainly not the most educated person about it. I remember.
Okay.
Did you use Stumble Upon? That website from like the 2000s where you just press a button and it brings you to random websites every time?
Maybe.
I was like very much a product of like bored millennial in the 2000s internet. Like I did a lot of the listicle stuff. I was on BuzzFeed all the time. And so this website, Stumble Upon, it used to be a website where you would go, and if you were bored, you're a kid and you're bored, you press this button and then it just takes you to these different random websites that are like fun, kind of time wasty things. And that's how I learned about this, like way back in the day. So I'm certainly not the most educated about it, but it's a theory, or like it's a paradox about the existence of aliens. It's like, it could be a whole podcast episode in and of itself, but the general setup is that it sort of posits different theories for like the explanation of the existence of extraterrestrial life and like why we haven't come into contact with it yet. So like one of the theories being that we're the first beings to exist in this amount of like intelligent life form. And so that's why we haven't interacted with aliens yet. The other one being like, this is a super pared down explanation, by the way.
I gotcha.
One of the other ones being that there is just, for lack of a better word, like an evolutionary wall that all living beings hit that will annihilate your species. And so like there's like a sort of vernacular like language that they use to say like either we're first, we're fucked, or we're like being observed. I can't remember what the third one is. But the second idea being that like there have been other life forms like us. It's just that, like, at a certain point, all intelligent life forms sort of, like, hits a wall where, like, they either annihilate themselves through war or, like, conflict or, like, you know, by burning the fucking earth alive, things like that.
Like, inevitably.
Yes, and so then the cycle just kind of starts anew, right? Like, the earth heals itself and you all start over. There's a third one, though, where they talk about the human race being, like, essentially ants in an anthill, and, like, the reason that we haven't interacted with aliens is because they observe us in the same way that we observe ants in an anthill, in the sense that, like, we're aware that they exist, but it doesn't really affect us, and, like, we don't really care to interact with them in a meaningful way because they're so insignificant, because they're so non-threatening to us. And so, like, that kind of being the third theory, that, like, there are extraterrestrial beings that are aware that we exist, but we're just, like, so non-threatening by our ability to not traverse space and time that they're like, whatever. Like,
they leave us alone.
Yeah, you could never reach us even if you wanted to be hostile to us,
Right.
because you don't have the technology to
Right.
leave your own atmosphere. So, like, get fucked. We don't
That
even
they're
really
so
care.
advanced.
Yes. Isn't that
Where's the
fascinating?
paradox? Yeah, but what's the paradox?
Meaning that, like, none of these really have a good explanation or, like, basis. Like, none of these are really foolproof explanations. There's, like, somewhat understandable ways to kind of, like, not disprove, but, like, poke holes in all of the arguments.
Oh,
I guess.
okay.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of, this is off topic, you haven't heard of Roku's basilisk, have you?
No. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not going to tell you. Don't look it up. It'll ruin your life.
Why?
Because I talked about it on my do not research iceberg, because knowing about it in itself is like, is part of the...
Why
is,
would
like,
you tell me that then?
part of the bad.
Hannah.
Because I thought
it
maybe you knew what
scary?
it was, because you know about all these weird, obscure things.
Is it scary?
It's scary, but it's not... I'm not scared of it. Do you want me to tell you? Is it going to kill you now if you don't know?
Well, I don't know. I'm afraid to know.
I'm not scared of it.
Okay, but you're not scared of lots of things that I'm terrified
But I'm not scared of lots of things. It's just it's a very mindfuck paradoxal theory about technology, basically.
Is it like Black Mirror kind of shit?
Maybe you should have, maybe Aaron should look it up. And then because he would know better if it would scare you or not.
Yes.
Have Aaron look it up, because Aaron probably wouldn't bother Aaron. So I'm guessing. So
Okay,
have him look it up.
What is it called?
Roku's basilisk.
Sounds like some Harry Potter shit.
It does
okay.
sound like Harry Potter shit. ROKU.
Like the TV service?
Yeah,
Roku?
yeah.
Okay.
If I'm spelling it correctly, but I'm pretty sure I am.
Okay,
So
I'll make it.
Yeah, I would have, and then he could gauge whether it would be good for what it's. It's like it's a very very mindfucky paradox.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
Yes,
so,
continue. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's why I want to talk to you about this, is that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, like, with the alien thing, like, I don't want to get into aliens today, because we should talk about aliens on a whole nother podcast.
Yes,
but
should.
I'm just saying in the sense that it's like, I don't know everything about the world, so I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about ghosts.
Fair.
But I do
respect
have
that.
a question. So I do struggle with the logic of ghosts, though, which I know it's illogical because the whole, like I just said, it's outside of stuff we know.
Yeah.
But some very basic, what's your opinion on the fact that ghosts seem to contradict themselves in the stories of the true stories that people experience, in the sense that, like, in some stories they can slam your door, they can go, turn on your faucet, turn off and on lights, they can mess with your environment, but then in other stories they can go through walls, they can do this. So it's like, which is it? Are they physical beings or not? Like, can they go through wall? Like, why can they turn on the faucet, but they're also translucent and you can walk right through them? And I know that sounds very cartoonish, but I'm saying, but really, like, people that have described their ghost experiences have described that it's just been like this dark entity in the corner, that it doesn't really have a shape, but it's like a shadow or something. And other people describe it as them being haunted, like they're hearing footsteps and all this stuff. And also, why aren't they naked? Like, for people that have claimed to see women, translucent women in white dresses, their white dress became a ghost with them? Like, what? Like, I don't know. Do you have any opinions on that?
I hear what you're saying. I think I approach it in a very lax kind of way, in the sense that, like, my understanding of the way that ghosts work is that so, like, I guess it depends on how you conceptualize the idea of a ghost, right? To me, I don't believe in ghosts in the, like, a Scooby-Doo sort of way.
Right.
To me, like, my belief in the paranormal is more like almost like a spiritual thing. Like, I don't believe that people, like human beings and like living beings really, are just like a series of synapses and like electrical impulses that animate a flesh suit, right? Like,
interesting.
I don't like that. Like, personally, I just really don't resonate with the idea that, like, our bodies are just sort of being, like, mechanically puppeted by this series of biological impulses. Like, to me, it feels senseless, the idea that that would just be the only thing, right? Like, I am not a religious person. I grew up religious and, like, have deconstructed from all of that. But there was a moment that I had in my freshman biology class where our professor was talking about how, like, fragile and interesting the concept of life is, right? Because even if you put all of the, like, chemical components for a living being in a petri dish and, like, zap it with electricity or inject it with adrenaline, like, you can't make it be alive. Like, either something is alive or it isn't, and we can sometimes resuscitate things, but we can't, like, you can just, like, make it happen, you know?
Okay.
And so, like, to me, it feels kind of like that. Like, I think there is a, like, spiritual or, like, energetic component to the inside of our selves that when our, for lack of a better...
spirit is what it sounds like you're saying. Yeah. Is like your soul.
Yeah. Like, when our meat suit is no longer... functioning, that, like, we still go somewhere, you know? And so, like, with ghosts and stuff, like, people have different perspectives about, like, a spirit versus a poltergeist or, like, all this other stuff, you know? But, like, to me, I think of the paranormal and, like, ghosts generally as just, like, people's souls and, like, their essence, their energetic essence that's not tethered to a meat suit anymore, that's, like, playing by different rules. They're sort of beyond the veil in this, like, way that I don't understand, right? But they do exist, right? I just don't abide by the belief that when you die, you're just gone. Like, I don't like that. Okay. I don't subscribe to the concept of, like, heaven or hell or, like, whatever, but I do think we have to go somewhere, right? And so I don't know if that means that you just sort of, like, wander around with all of your other spirit buddies and, like, curse people.
I hope that's what it is.
I know, I hope so too. I hope I get to just, like, be a ghoul here on Earth and, like, really annoy the shit out of people. But yeah, so, like, with the question of, like, how come they can go through walls but then touch other things, I think it is dependent on, like, the intention of that energy, right? Because, like, some people do talk about how ghosts, like, have to expend a lot of energy to, like, physically alter their environment, and, like, that's the difference between, like, a ghost and a poltergeist, like, whatever. But, like, personally, I think it just depends on, like, the intention that the spirit has, and especially if it's, like, a malevolent or, like, malicious spirit, and, like, what their purpose is that sort of, like, impacts how they interact with us as meat suit people.
I just feel like if they were real, all the people that claim to have real experiences seeing them would match up. Like, I just don't get why somebody sees a figure dressed, fully dressed, and other people just see an orb.
I hear what you're saying, but also, for what it's worth, first of all, I think to, like, reduce spirits to that, like, one-dimensional view does a disservice to the way that, like, we perceive the world generally, right? A cloud is a cloud is a cloud, except that they all kind of look different sometimes, right? And, like, depending on the environmental factors and, like, all of the stuff that's surrounding that, it will look different, you know? But it's still belonging to, like, the subcategory, like, the broad category, rather, of, like, this weather phenomenon, you know? And also, just for what it's worth, from a psychological perspective, we know that a lot of what influences people's perceptions about the paranormal and about ghosts is highly dependent on their own particular psyche, their cultural values, their life experiences. We can't conceive of something that we've never seen before, you know? And so people who are immersed in a particular culture conceptualize spirits in their own unique and particular way. Like, like growing up in a Mexican family that was like very steeped in those values, ghosts and spirits were talked about from this like, first of all, Catholic and religious lens, but second of all, from this like very like grounded in a Mexican cultural place, you know?
Right.
But if you ask people who are from, I don't know, like Japan, what their cultural understanding of spirits is, it's because it's influenced by their culture. Our brain like wilds out with phenomenon that's difficult for our sensory selves to perceive. So like to me, I'm very unbothered by ghosts like all having different reports, like people experiencing them differently, because personally I think that's just our very like shitty human senses trying to make sense of something that's not like tangible, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But also, like, for what it's worth, I think it is important to acknowledge that, like, a lot of the reports that we have about the paranormal do seem to line up with what we know.
Logical.
Well, and it lines up with what we know about errors that our brain makes, right? Like, there's pretty demonstrable evidence about how our brain perceives things incorrectly sometimes, you know?
I guess I just struggle so much with, like, if we did not fear death, if that wasn't an inherent fear that all humans had, would we still believe in ghosts?
I don't know.
Because like you were saying, like you don't like the concept of there not being anything after. But if you didn't have a fear of death, which we all do, I don't care what anybody says, everybody is.
Yes. Yeah.
What would you still, you know, like, because I have a hard time with like what you said about that. Like I have always really thought that it's like when I die, nothing happens.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be that way. And I have watched, and I have had moments like, okay, to be fair, I have watched an Alan Watts. Do you know who Alan Watts is? He's a philosopher. He passed away a long time ago, but he was a philosopher and he did some really wonderful lectures about philosophy and everything. And he does make a pretty compelling, if you guys want to watch it, there's a video on YouTube. It's called The Real You. And somebody put Alan Watts's snippet of this over some inspirational nature and music and stuff.
Sure.
But it was very life-changing. Like, honestly, like that snippet of his philosophy lecture was very life-changing because he does talk about how when you die, you come back as something else. Just like when you were born, you didn't try to be born. You came out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And like, so how could you, like, dying is just like being born, but you just don't know where you'll go and stuff. Like, you'd have to, obviously, I'm not saying it as good as he did. So yeah, I like have thought about that. And I do like, I hope that, but the logical atheist side of me is not as... I wish, honestly, I hope it's like the good place, but
yes.
I don't
But also I was literally just thinking about that because the same way that I believe that like we have this sort of intrinsic spiritual soul part of ourselves, I believe that it's like part of this balance of the universe. Like, you know how at the end of The Good Place when Chidi talks about that proverb of like the water returning to the ocean? You know, to me, it seems like that, right? That like, I just don't resonate with the concept that we exist for this very short amount of time. And then this like very specific and unique and like special part of the world is just like gone forever. Right? Like, that's weird. I don't like that. And so, like, to me, I think it just makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah. But I think you're right, too. I think a lot of that is also, like, a fear of death thing and, like, a fear of irrelevancy, you know, just, like, it's all for nothing. Like, that's very nihilist.
How minute we are.
Yeah. But I really resonate with the idea that we're just sort of, like, borrowing energy from the ether for the time being. And then when we die, it's, like, moves beyond the veil into a different place.
We are all...
You know?
I believe in science. I believe in the Big Bang Theory. And actually, out of the Big Bang Theory is quite a spiritual thing because if you believe in the Big Bang Theory as... I guess I don't want to disrespect anybody's religion, but that's based in science. For me, the Big Bang Theory is fact. And we all came out of this one thing, which if you think about, that is crazy. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I do like that, like what you're saying with that. I do like agree with you on that like concept of like a wave back in the ocean, or just like we are a tiny piece of this earth that created us all out of this one, you know, a couple things.
Yeah.
But even if we did, even if our spirit or whatever it is goes, do you think you'd be conscious of the fact that you used to be this person? Does it matter that you go somewhere because that you're reincarnated? Because what if, unless you're a ghost that is taking vengeance on those who have wronged you, do you think like if you came back as a cat, you would be anything other than a cat and you would know that you were Mickey?
Okay, so here's
or whatever,
the thing.
You know?
This is where we start to get into territory that makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist. Because, listen, I am a person of science. We all know that I am like full boner for evidence-based practice. I am like very committed to being this ethical and evidence-based and science-driven person. And also, in the same way that I think of like spirituality and like our essence just like being borrowed from the earth as kind of like a science-based thing, like you were talking about with the Big Bang Theory and all of that. Personally, I subscribe to the belief that like you can't, I guess you can, depending on like what your spiritual practices are. But like, I think in the thing that separates like us in this existence, in this timeline right now, from the spirits and energies and essences that are, I don't know, doing whatever the fuck it is that they do. There's like a knowing that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think when you do die and you sort of return to your like truest energetic form of yourself, that you do have some awareness for like the many lives that you've potentially lived, but that you're not meant to know about that now. And like some people do spiritual practices and like hallucinogenics and all this kind of stuff to try to like open their awareness to what their past lives are and stuff, which to me that's terrifying. I hate that. I don't want to fucking know that at all. But like, I won't lie to you, like I have very much sat through like psychic readings and tarot readings and spiritual readings and stuff where people have talked about past lives and like your previous experiences in other times, you know? So like personally, I think that tracks. I think there's sort of like a cyclical nature to things, you know? So
do you have a psychic that you go to, or you've just been to one before? Do you know of one in Tucson that's good?
Like, yes. Why?
You actually, because I think, what if we did it when I came down to visit you? Like, what if we went and I got a reading, and I will be super open. I'll try to be as open-minded as possible. I won't make fun of anything. I won't like, I'll go into it as if I believe it's real. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be very non-judgmental and everything. Like, what do you think of that?
So, like, I'm open to that. But you, I don't know if you'll like it as much as you think you might.
Okay, but would you be like open to?
Yeah, I'm open to that.
It, like,
in theory, I'm very curious to see how you would receive that experience.
I am too. So, yeah, and it's so interesting because my hairdresser, I've been going to my girl that does my hair since I was 12. Like, I've been seeing her for almost 20 years. Yeah. Love. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My whole family she's the best. Anyway, she is a super believer. She, like, definitely believes in all that stuff. I think I told her the story because she's the one that was telling me about Vegas and, like, all the things about Vegas. And when I came back from Vegas, I told her about our experience at the museum and how you had such a bad experience and everything. And this time she asked how you were, and she told me that she prayed for you because she was so worried about you.
That's so sweet. Oh my God,
when
tell her thank
she was like, I don't know her name, but I just said Hannah's friend. Like, I know. So she's like a super believer, and she keeps telling me, and I'm like, yeah, but I kind of want to experience something because I kind of want to know, like, for myself, if I really do believe or not. And she's like, no, you don't. She's like, Hannah, don't mess with it. She's like, no, it's a good thing. Because she's kind of more on the side of, like, if you're open to, because I was saying, like, if you're a believer in ghosts, you're more likely to see them. How convenient is that? But she's more on the side of, like, well, if you believe in ghosts, that's because you're more open to it. Yeah. And the people that aren't open to it, they're probably not as interested. Yeah. Like, they're not going to glom on to somebody who is not as vulnerable, who doesn't take it seriously or whatever. So it's kind of like, and I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but I'm just, I kind of always wondered, it was like, I've never experienced anything just because my aura is just not very like welcoming
open
to that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, that kind of stuff. So anything I would be very, so the other thing I've thought about when, cause we were talking about visiting each other to do podcasts in person and hang out and everything.
Yeah.
For those that are confused. So the first I'm going to come down to Tucson and I seriously was looking at the whole, like, I was like, I might drive. Like, I'm seriously considering driving so I can... I want to stay at haunted hotels on my way there. And I know you would never do that with me.
No. Have a great time. Good luck. Godspeed. Don't you bring any fucking whack-ass energy into my home.
I will try really hard not to, but I don't think I can because I don't think I'm open to it.
Oh God.
But I found some like on the way because there's a shit ton in Nevada. There's a ton
Not surprised.
of places like that. And there's some in Boise too, which you have to drive through to get to Arizona. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm just thinking about that.
Oh my God.
It'll be my spooky trip.
Don't be offended if I like cleanse you outside of my house before I let you in.
You could definitely, if I do it, I will be very upfront about it, and you could do whatever you want, or I'd have to do it on the way home if you'd be too worried about it. I'd have to do it, fly there, and then I don't know. No, I couldn't fly there because I wouldn't have my car. But anyway, so then my other logical question about all this is that like how, if ghosts are a thing, billions of people have died. So even if not everybody turns into a ghost, like even if there's certain requirements or certain types of people that turn into ghosts because they have unfinished business, they want to stay with their loved ones, they are mad and they want whatever it is. Yeah. Even if that's the case, there would still be billions of spirits, which means that we are, by statistically speaking, everybody's living in a haunted house. So it's like that's another part that I just like can't get past.
That's
that
valid.
I'm just like, you know, like why is it that like you can have a seance and with a Ouija board and call upon a spirit in your area, but like wouldn't we all have those experiences? Because like where are they all then? Wouldn't there be billions of them by that logic?
I don't know. I mean,
know.
I think it depends too, because like for me, with like the belief in past lives and all of that kind of stuff, it would make sense then that like not every single person who's been on Earth is their own unique individual spirit. Like people are potentially being like reincarnated, basically.
Okay, that's fair.
But also too, I feel like, again, while I'm not like a subscriber to the belief of like heaven and hell or whatever, it does seem like it would make sense that there'd be like a holding tank, you know, or like, I don't know, some other fucking place for spirits to be. And like, if they want to like interact with their loved ones who are still living, or like you were saying, if they have unfinished business, or like if they're stuck here, that like maybe those are the spirits that we're interacting with. And like other people, like our ancestors, are just kind of like hanging around, like the ancestors in Mulan, you know, just sort of like hanging around in a statue all of the time. Yeah, I don't know.
I just Googled it really quick, and according to Google, 109 billion people have lived and died over the past 192,000 years.
My God.
117 billion humans have ever lived, give or take,
crazy.
Approximate. So I just have a hard time, like, if there was,
that's valid.
Even if there was several billion, I feel like we'd have a lot more ghosts. I don't know.
But also too, guys, like that is operating under the assumption that all ghosts want to be interacting with the living.
That's true. That's very fair. And also, I will admit, I have heard some very convincing anecdotal stories. I have heard some stories that I can't explain. So
I mean, I think that's fair.
I don't know.
Also too, for what it's worth, like I just love shit like this. Like I will
Me too.
full send, just suspend my belief or like suspend my skepticism about things in order to believe in them, just because I think it's fun. Like there was a conspiracy theory about how the moon might be a spaceship, and like do I really think that that's real? No, but like it's kind of fun though. Like it could be, you know. So like grain of salt. I think that's probably necessary, that like sometimes I do just find stuff like this really fun and interesting, and like, you know, I think
I love talking about this with people.
Yeah, like the idea
I love talking
of
about
everything having to be confined by what is provable in science feels kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
And also too, for what it's worth, like a lot of the mainstream, like modern science and like evidence that we have for like the medical field and our understanding of the brain and all of that, like it's impossible to tease that out from the impact of like white, cis, hetero, racist, sexist men and like their very particular view about the world and the way things ought to work, you know?
Yeah.
It's happened more than once that like modern
That's
medicine
fair.
will happen upon knowledge that like indigenous people, for example, have known about and spoken about for years, for centuries, for like, you know, the history of like our ability to record stories and things like that, you know, and then modern medicine will validate that like, yes, that is in fact real, you know? So like, I think there's value in honoring that some things we don't know for sure with like evidence-based practice and science and whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're not there, you know?
If it's any consolation to people, I want ghosts to be real. That's my conclusion on this whole thing, is that I have always wanted them to be real. I want proof that it is, because even though I continue to be skeptical, I still like am so fascinated by the whole thing. I go on ghost tours. I love all that stuff, and I love talking about it with believers like Mickey and everything. So yeah. Okay, that's my things I hated, even though I don't really hate it. But.
That's fair.
Mickey, what do you hate this week?
The thing this week that I actually hate, I want to start by asking you a question. What's your opinion about celebrities and their interactions with fans, and like specifically about celebrities trying to set like boundaries with fans in like large interactions, like concerts, meet and greets, stuff like that?
I think it depends. I mean, did you see that video of Britney Spears that Britney Spears got like punched or slapped in the face?
Recently?
She went up. Yeah, in Vegas. She was with her husband, and she went up to I forget, I think it was some sports guy. I clearly know sports.
Sure.
But it was some like professional sports. I don't know. She was a fan, and she like tapped him on the shoulder, but it's highly debated on how aggressive she was. And his security guard turned around and like smacked Britney in the face, and like Britney, like they're like doing litigation and everything, but also it's like this big debate of like, why didn't Britney know, as somebody who was also attacked and accosted by fans all the time? Like, why didn't Britney know better to not take a celebrity off guard like that? But also like, it was technically assault still, or was it just the security doing their job? Like,
oh my God.
It's hard because it's like, yeah, I do think that I can understand the security guard just reacting.
Yeah.
And not, but I think for Britney's point of view, she's like, well, I'm Britney Spears. Like he'll recognize me, you know?
Yeah.
But she was a big fan of him. Yeah.
Side eye at that.
Britney's husband was really pissed.
Yeah.
So, and she says she's still waiting on a public apology for the slap. That's just a headline, but.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it sounded like a big accident. It would have been nice if they apologized, I guess, to Britney, but like.
Britney has been through enough. My God.
I know. It's still assault, but it's highly debated on like if she kind of like grabbed him.
Yeah.
Or if she was just like patting him
tap
aggressively, or like, yeah. So anyway, sorry to get you get you off base. But yeah, so my opinion is like, I think they have every right. I think sometimes they don't have enough boundaries with fans, especially young women artists. I think are in very, I mean, just that we've seen like we've seen, who's the pop star that got, somebody became obsessed with her and came up and killed her.
I mean, that happened to Selena.
Yeah, Selena. Yeah, Selena. But I mean, it happened to one of the Beatles though too. It's not just women, but it just scares me with like young girls because they're taught to be
available,
polite and stuff like that. So
that's fair.
Christina Grimmie.
Oh my God. She was murdered though, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was an assassination quite literally. Yeah, by a fan who thought they were like dating, like thought they were.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. And
Wow.
that does worry me for like what scared like Billie Eilish and stuff, who she loves her fans so much, and she gets so up and personal with her fans because she wants to be in it with them and everything. And it just kind of scares the shit out of me because I mean we're also seeing all these people get stuff thrown at their face on stage. Lil Nas X just got what did he get? Oh, a fleshlight thrown at his face. Yes. Somebody threw a fleshlight at him while he was performing.
Oh my God. That's fucked up. Yeah, I think somebody threw a phone at BB Rexa too and hit her in the face. It's terrible.
Yes. Adele was like, Adele literally, did you see that? She's like, I will fucking kill you.
And then somebody threw their mom's ashes on stage at Pink.
At Pink. Oh my God.
What is wrong with people? Yeah, please don't do that.
No.
Okay,
so why do you ask, Mickey? Why do you ask?
The reason I ask is because the thing I'm talking about today is the situation with Miranda Lambert. Are you aware at all of what's going on there?
I should probably look her up because honestly,
you
her
don't know
name
who
rings a
Miranda
bell.
Lambert is. That's so funny to me. I think
her name rings a bell.
It just makes the petty part of my heart happy because this story is not a good look for her. So Miranda Lambert is kind of like in hot water right now because there is a video, particularly on TikTok, but I'm sure it's going viral in other places, of her being really rude to people at one of her live shows. She was doing a concert and there was these women up at the front, like the front seats, like right up there by the stage, that all stood up to take a selfie with like Miranda kind of in the background while she was performing. And Miranda Lambert shamed these women and like made fun of them, saying like, we're trying to sing country music and these women are like trying to take a selfie and whatever, right? So just hold on to that for a second.
Yeah.
There's a second clip that I've seen of Miranda Lambert holding onto an inflatable beach ball, because you know how like when you go to concerts sometimes people bring beach balls and other stuff and they sort of like, whatever.
Yep.
So people were doing that at this concert. She grabbed it, or had security grab it, I guess, probably. And then brought it up on stage and popped it and said, like, we're trying to sing country music here. Like, we're trying to have a concert, blah, blah, blah. And then her face is kind of hidden behind her microphone. So you can't exactly see what she says, but she does kind of like one of these. And then it looks like she says, sit down and shut up. Or like, at least she says sit down. Like she tells someone to like sit, and like basically like a kindergarten teacher admonishing a child, as if to say like, I'm watching you, like sit down kind of a vibe. Yeah.
Rude. I don't understand the concept of not wanting your fans to have fun at concerts, but okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's her concert, I guess, but also like don't you want people to have fun? Like, isn't that the point of concerts? Like, concerts are one of the most fun things of all time for a lot of people.
I feel like it's also an interesting discussion because what you were saying about, especially like women and like female artists needing to set boundaries with fans for their own safety is important, you know?
Right.
But like at what point
doesn't sound like she was in danger though.
No, yeah. At what point then does it become just kind of this like weird authoritarian thing,
control thing?
My guess is that to some degree she probably felt insulted or disrespected by people not like paying attention or like taking her music seriously or whatever. But like it is kind of an odd take, especially now, because I feel like people take selfies of everything. You know, like
imagine getting salty about somebody who probably spent thousands of dollars on those tickets to be that close. And wouldn't you want a selfie of that if you were that close? And honestly, look, I know you're not a Taylor Swift fan, but honestly, if this happened at a Taylor Swift concert, I can almost guarantee you Taylor Swift would have kneeled down and gotten in the selfie.
I'm pretty sure somebody literally has shared footage of that exact thing happening.
Yes, like that's a normal reaction to it. It's like make their concert super special.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones, I mean, these people are paying so much money to see you, and the whole crowd would love to see you do that.
Especially
like,
the women in the front row, like those tickets were probably really expensive.
Really expensive. So what? That's just a weird reaction. Yeah. I can see, if I was playing devil's advocate, I could, like, some artists do, I understand, they get fed up. Like, they want they want to play, they want to do the art. They want to do whatever, you know, whether it's acting or a musician or what have you. They want to do that still. That's their passion. But all that fame that comes with it, they kind of get burnt out on it, and they're just kind of over it. And they kind of keep doing the concerts because they need to keep making money, but maybe they don't necessarily really want to do it. They're just like, okay. Yeah. You know? And like, I kind of wonder, it sounds like, I'm not saying that, I'm not excusing what she did. Like what she did was rude, but it just, I can't understand like being really grumpy and us often like equating that to the person being just a shitty, mean person. Yeah. When they have some bad interactions. I was just watching a little thing on Katherine Heigl. You know the Katherine Heigl? She's blonde. No. She was in The Biggest Thing I Know Her From. You would recognize her if you saw her. She's well known for being like one of the rudest celebrities, though, and being like really difficult to work with and stuff like that. And I just saw a clip of an interview talking because somebody asked, like, do you think you're rude because you get this reputation for being rude? And she's like, I am not a rude person. I don't think I'm rude at all. But I'm going to stand up for myself and set boundaries. And when something is going on set that I don't like, like I'm going to stand up for myself. And so she kind of like was like defending herself. Like, I'm not a mean person. I'm just like more, I do things that if men did them, nobody would bat an eyelash. I don't know how true that is. I don't know her personally, but I just kind of wonder if it's kind of, if there is some other side of the story. I just think it's really sad though to like, you have these people that are fans and supporting you and you make them let them leave a concert with a bad taste in their mouth would be really crappy.
Because I feel like also there is an important distinction to be made between like people fucking off and like doing shitty shit in a concert. You know, like there's also clips that people have shared of Hayley Williams, I think, from Paramore, publicly shaming people at her concerts for being dicks, right? Like when somebody is pushing other people or whatever, she like stops the concert and is like, absolutely not, right? Like get the fuck out.
That's how you... Travis Scott, take notes.
Word. Oh my God.
How you prevent things is you like keep your crowd from, you don't encourage violence.
But like there's a big distinction between that and like trying to police these very small actions, you know, like the minutia of people's behavior with like, you're not allowed to take a selfie or like, you know, whatever. And also
that's ridiculous.
I guess the thing that like pushes my buttons about it specifically is just that if you are bothered or grumpy or annoyed by unruly audiences and whatever, like don't go on tour. That's your choice as the artist, right? But B, if it really is that important to you, then like after a show where stuff like that is happening, have your people have a chat with the security at the rest of the venues for the rest of the tour and like set some more concrete limits in place about like making sure that we're really patting people down to make sure they don't have beach balls and like this other stuff and like have the venue set out like a no photography sign, you know, but like publicly shaming people for doing stuff that like just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's like dangerous or inappropriate or bad. Like it's just a concert. That's the nature of the beast. Like people are just going to take pictures of you. And if you don't like it, then like, don't go.
Maybe don't be a celebrity. Yeah. Like,
yes. Yeah. I think it just
I'm sorry. I honestly think every celebrity chooses to be a celebrity. Like you do choose that at some point because if you don't like it, you have enough money to disappear into a different identity or whatever you want to do or like hide out in Alaska somewhere or whatever. And you have to like it at some point and you also have to be responsible. I mean, you are responsible for the privilege that goes with being a celebrity. And I just also, I imagine being those women and being so humiliated. Like everybody in the crowd's probably staring at you and acting like you did something wrong and just being like, especially because of the power imbalance there, like obviously people are going to take her word over. Oh, gross.
Yeah. My favorite example of that though, with the like, you don't have to be in the spotlight if you don't want to, is Rob Kardashian. Did you even know that the Kardashian sisters had a brother?
No.
Exactly.
I know Brody. I know who Brody is because of the Hills.
Yeah. But he's like step siblings, I think, with
something
Kendall.
Like that. Yeah. He's one of the Jenners. I don't know. Yeah.
But Rob Kardashian is the Kardashian sisters' brother, and he was on the show in like the early iteration of it, but he had like a really negative experience with fame and all of that, and he has not been on camera like in years. Like he is so far removed from this like enterprise that the Kardashians puppet, and clearly he is making plenty of money because like he's not living in poverty. They make plenty of money to support his lifestyle, and so like especially when people complain about how much they hate being in the spotlight and whatever, like I think you're right. People, they do very much have the means to remove themselves, and if you really hated it, like just be done then, right?
Yes.
Like, it's a financial person's job to help you manage your gratuitous wealth to disappear into a life of anonymity.
To YouTube, where we recognize that there are some downsides to doing YouTube. Like people are going to pick apart what you say. You're going to get people that just hate you for absolutely no reason. They just hate you. And that's just part of it. But we wouldn't delete our channels tomorrow because we love what we do and the benefits outweigh the cost.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I get that like being a celebrity, like not everything about it is sunshine and rainbows, but saying like, I hate it, like, no, you don't.
Yes.
That's
that
a lie.
Because
if I hated being, like I don't hate being a YouTuber because I could literally delete my channel tomorrow if I really hated it.
Yeah, we would just go back to work, find different jobs, you know?
Just find, So
that's my gripe for today. That's my thanks. I hate it. Is celebrities shaming their fans because it's rude.
Speaking of musicians, I have one more thanks. I hate it. Are you familiar? You're familiar with the Grateful Dead?
Vaguely,
like, you don't listen to them probably, but you like know of them. Like, yeah.
Like I respect
So there's, I'm just mourning the Dead and Company. So a couple members from the original band. Went on, and they have different iterations of the Grateful Dead, and they still go on tour and play their music. And for many years, they've had this band called Dead and Company, which is still Bob Weir, which was one of the singers and guitarists of the original band before Jerry Garcia died. And John Mayer is part of their band. So John Mayer's been going on tour with them for a long time, for many years. And they just announced this is their last tour. This is their last. They're breaking up after this. And
are you gonna
Bob
go?
Weir's 75. I think they already came to Seattle. I've gone other years.
Okay.
I've been. They don't come to Seattle. They go to the Gorge. They go to the west eastern Washington. So I have to drive like 3 hours to get there. It's like the desert Washington.
Okay.
There is a desert Republican side of Washington, contrary to popular belief. And so it's a beautiful venue, but it just wasn't in the cards this year. I've gone at least twice before when they've toured and seen, and John Mayer does a great job. He's really good at
I would not have guessed that and everything. At all.
I know. A lot of people don't know that about John Mayer, that he's been part of their band for a long time because he's such an epic guitar player. So, because Jerry was known for being such a great guitar player, so they need like more guitar support. So this has no meaning to you, but if anybody else is a Deadhead out there, I feel you because I am so bummed.
That's sad.
I'm just really,
that's a bummer.
I'm not surprised, but I'm just like sad. I told my parents, I was like, I knew we should have gone this year.
That's really sad. I feel like
it's just so hard
with like legacy acts like that. When you get the chance to go, you have to go, but like it's so hard when it's like far away and expensive and like all of that stuff.
I think last time we went, we drove back the same night, but usually you camp. Usually you camp out there, and but it's so hot. I used to go to Warped Tour. If anybody remembers Warped Tour, did you ever do Warped Tour?
I didn't, and I regret it.
You did, because I used to camp out there for 2 nights as a teenager to go to a music concert, and people party all night. There's somebody, they are up all freaking night. You do not get any sleep, and I could definitely do that when I was 18, 19. I can't do that anymore.
That's valid. Honestly,
that's like that. I go camp there and I'm like, I actually want to go to sleep.
So even just driving back from a concert after the same night is too much. It's a lot. All right.
Okay. All right, that's our show. That's our show, folks. That was the dorkiest thing I've
it was
ever
cute. Thanks,
My
everybody.
dog can tell that I'm about to sign off because she just picked her head up and she's looking at me. So
thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.
If you like the episodes, make sure to like the videos on YouTube and then subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on.
Please leave us 5-star reviews if you feel so inclined.
Yes,
and feeling
please do.
generous. And
That's
we
it.
will see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Okay. Bye, guys.